So we are now done with our entire bumblebee. So we can now move on to this beautiful frame that is around the entire bumblebee. So the frame we do in sections. So we first need to start with this central design here at the bottom because it's higher than these leaves surrounding it. After we've done this one, we will move on to these leaves, and then again we need to start with the leaf that is the highest. So this big one here sits on top of this leaf and on this leaf. This one is not connected to any of these leaves, but it is below this one. So we will then first do this one, followed by these two. We can do them on left and right side at the same time, but we first need to do this central design. So if we look at the central design here, this little leaf sits on top of this leaf here. So we will first start with this leaf design and then move our way down so that we have layer on top of layer. So I'm working on the front of my pewter on my lino sheet, and we're now going to do that little leaf. So if I look at that little leaf, I have got, this is the outline of the leaf, which we will do first. Then we will flatten around and tidy up, come back and then add these two detail lines from the front, from the back, so that they stand up from the front. So working on our lino with our 0.5mm ball tool, and I'm going to add a little bit of lubricant. And I'm going to start on the inside of that little curve, and I work my way out. I'm going to do the other curve on the other side, but I'm going to start where I stopped. And then I'm going to do the little tip. Then we remove our lino sheet and we need to flatten. So on our hard surface, on the front of our pewter, we flatten with our paper stump, and remember we're flattening with a flat angle, and we're pushing all of that height into our design. And then we tidy up. And now we can add the detail lines from the back. So working on our layers of felt, we turn our pewter upside down, and then we can draw in the detail lines from the back using the sharp tip Teflon tool. Now if you don't have a sharp tip Teflon tool, you can use the 0.5mm ball tool. You won't just, it doesn't give that thin line, it gives a little bit of a thicker line. So on the back of our pewter, on our felt, with a medium to a soft pressure, I'm going to draw in the line starting from that corner and then into that little circle. I do this once or twice to smooth out the line, and then again I'm going to start in that corner and draw in that little circle. Then we need to flatten, so we remove our layers of felt, turn our pewter upside down, and then we flatten around on the hard surface. Okay, and then we can move on to the next part. So back onto our lino, still working from the front, we can now add the bigger leaf. Medium to a hard pressure from the front, and then we can remove the lino sheet and flatten around. Tidy up with the Teflon tool. Define, and then we can add a little bit of height to this area from the back. So onto our layers of felt, turn our pewter upside down, and with a very soft motion and a soft Teflon tip, I can add a little bit of height, and I want to concentrate in the center so that I get a dome shape at the front. You can use your hands as well. The area is nice and big. And we add only a little bit of height at a time, softly, so that we don't see any lines from the front. Then we remove our felt. We turn our pewter face up on our hard surface, and then we flatten again around. So if you're not happy with the height that you've achieved, you can, after flattening, return the pewter back to the felt and add some more layers or some more height from the back. I'm happy with the height that I've got, so I'm not going to turn it around again. So I can tidy up and define. Okay, so next we're going to add the two little leaves that's on the side. So the two little leaves, they've got a little bit of an indent on the inside, which we will do from the front. So these two little lines here, I'm going to add them from the front. So I'm going to add them first. So I'm going to draw in those two little lines, and then I'm going to do the outline. Repeat that line. So first that little line, then the outline. Then I'm going to just again repeat that line. Now I can flatten from the front on my hard surface, so I remove my lino, flatten with my pepper stump, and I'm quite happy with the height that I achieved. I don't want them to be much higher than that, because I do sit a little bit lower than the central one, so I'm happy with the height. So I'm not going to give them extra height from the back. Okay, so now we can continue with this little leaf at the bottom. So first we will add each one of these in a row, and then we'll do the main outline. So working on the front of our pewter on the lino sheet, I'm going to do the two bigger ones that's on this side. remove the lino and flatten. So these ones we won't give individual height from the back. We'll do an overall height once we're done with the whole section. But you need to flatten and define each one as we go. So now I'm going to do the second row. So I'm not doing the outline. So I'm not doing this line. I'm just doing the internal lines. The outline we'll leave for last. So remove the lino and flatten and tidy up before you can continue with your next row. So once you're done with your last bottom two, you are now ready to do the frame around. So I'm just flattening a little bit around. Then we can add back the layer of lino. Working on the front of our design, we can draw in the outline. So this is a hard pressure. And I try to draw towards me. And then we can flatten. So we remove the lino and now we flatten all around, pushing all of that height into that design. Then we can tidy up. Okay, and now we can add a little bit of a extra height from the back to this design. And I don't want to add too much because I don't want to lose these little layers that I formed. So on the layer of felt, working from the back of our pewter, just with my little finger, I'm just going to push out ever so slightly that bottom design part. I don't want to lose the height of my layers, so you can always take a little bit of a point and add just a little bit of height back if you've lost some of the height inside these little circles. This is a soft motion. I'm not pressing very hard. I just want to mold it out very softly while trying to keep height into these little circles. There we go. And then we need to tidy up and flatten from the front. So we remove the felt and then we flatten again from the front. Okay, so that's more than enough height for me for now. So we can now continue with the surrounding leaves of the frame. So one last time, just define the whole outline, Because once we start lifting up the leaves, we can't come back to some of these edges. Okay, so that's that little part done. We can now move on to the other leaf.